"Merry Christmas, ma'am," said the waitress in sign language, and the elderly woman decided she would be the perfect daughter-in-law for her billionaire son. Before we start the story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. It all started at 7 in the morning when Haley took a last-minute job as a temp waitress at an exclusive art opening. The pay was good. The event was elegant, and she desperately needed money for her niece Sienna's hearing evaluation. What no one mentioned was that the uniform included high heels, borrowed shoes clearly designed by someone who hated humanity and wanted to see it suffer. "Size 36, the supervisor had said, handing over the instruments of torture. "It's what we've got." Haley wore a 38. "It'll fit," she lied. It did not. By 9 a.m., when the gallery doors opened to guests, Haley could no longer feel her toes. By 10, she had developed a walk that could only be described as penguin with a cramp. By 11, she was seriously considering ripping the shoes off and pretending that walking barefoot was an aesthetic choice. But she held on. Because Sienna needed that evaluation. Because rent didn't pay itself. And because Haley Bennett wasn't the type to give up, even when the universe was clearly against her. The Mercer Gallery Hall looked like it had come out of a movie. The kind of movie where rich people talk about things no one understands, while holding champagne flutes as if they were natural extensions of their hands. Ceilings with frescoes, crystal chandeliers, paintings that cost more than apartments. And people, lots of people, who looked right through Haley as if she were part of the decor. "Waitress! More champagne. Waitress, these canapés are cold. Waitress, can you hold my purse while I take a photo?" Haley smiled at everyone. That professional smile she had perfected over years of working events. The smile that said, "Of course, ma'am," when her mind screamed, "I have a name, you know?" Invisible. That's how she felt. A ghost in a black uniform with destroyed feet. At one point, she stopped in front of a painting to catch her breath. It was a huge canvas, all red, with a single white dot in the center. Just that. Red and a dot. A gentleman with round glasses sighed beside her, visibly moved. Impressive, isn't it? The way the artist deconstructed the concept of existence through chromatic emptiness. Haley looked at the painting, looked at the gentleman, looked at the painting again. "It's very red," she offered. The gentleman stared at her as if she had spat on the floor. Haley fled with her tray before he could go on explaining why a white dot was worth $200,000. It was at 11:43. She remembered the time because she had just checked how long was left until the end of the event, that everything happened. Haley was crossing the main hall, tray balanced high, when her left heel decided it was time to rebel. Her ankle gave out. The tray wobbled. And at the exact moment when 12 breaded shrimp began their trajectory toward the suit of a man who looked very important and very expensive, Haley made a decision. She dove. Literally. In slow motion, or at least that's how it felt to her, Haley launched forward, catching the tray before the shrimp hit the target, but completely sacrificing any chance of staying on her feet. The marble floor was cold and hard and humiliating. "Oh my God, are you okay?" Haley looked up. A young woman in a blue dress was watching her with genuine concern. "Perfectly fine," Haley answered from the floor, tray still held high like an Olympic waitress. "I'm just checking the quality of the marble. Italian, if I'm not mistaken." The young woman blinked, confused. Haley stood up as fast as her protesting knees allowed, straightened her uniform, and smiled as if nothing had happened. "Excuse me," and she walked away. Or rather, limped away with determination. It was during her strategic escape toward the kitchen that Haley saw the gold card fall. An elegant, elderly lady, queenly posture, pearl necklace, gray hair, and a flawless bun, had let something slip from the pocket of her coat. The card floated to the floor, landing a few steps from Haley. She bent to pick it up, this time with extreme care, because one more fall and she would need a doctor. "Ma'am?" "Nothing." "Excuse me, ma'am?" The elderly lady kept her back turned, observing a painting on the wall. Haley tried louder. "Ma'am?" A nearby woman looked at her with disapproval, as if Haley were shouting in a library. But the older woman did not turn around. And then Haley realized it. The way she tilted her head, the small hearing aid in her right ear, the eyes that looked for lips to read instead of sounds to hear. Haley's heart tightened. She knew that look. She saw it every day in Siena. Without thinking, she walked around and moved into the woman's line of sight. With gentle movements, the same ones she used with her niece since she was a baby, Haley signed in sign language. "Excuse me. You dropped this." The older woman's eyes widened. Haley held out the golden card and added, still signing, with a gentle smile. "Merry Christmas, ma'am." Miranda Mercer did not remember the last time she had cried. Maybe at her husband's funeral, 15 years ago. Maybe when Ethan graduated from college. Maybe never. Because Mercers did not cry. Mercers faced things. Mercers overcame. Mercers made other people cry in negotiations. But there, in the middle of her own gallery, in front of a waitress with scraped knees and a sincere smile, Miranda felt her eyes sting. In the last 8 months, since her hearing began to fail, she had become invisible in a different way. People shouted at her as if she were foolish. They spoke slowly as if she were a child. Or they simply stopped including her, because it was easier. No one had tried to communicate with her. Not really. "Thank you," Miranda whispered, her voice tight. The waitress just smiled and waved before walking away, disappearing among the guests as if she had not just changed someone's life. Miranda stood still, holding the golden card, feeling something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. "Mom?" Ethan Mercer approached carefully. 37 years old, a billionaire, head of the Mercer Foundation, and completely unable to understand why his mother seemed to be having an emotional experience in the middle of the art opening. Miranda Mercer did not have emotional experiences. Miranda Mercer caused emotional experiences in others. "Are you crying?" "Do not be ridiculous." Miranda straightened her posture at once. "It is allergies." "Allergies to what?" "To your many questions." Ethan looked toward where his mother was staring. He saw only a waitress walking away. Brown hair, black uniform, the walk of someone whose shoes were hurting a lot. "Who is she?" Miranda smiled. That smile. The smile of someone who had just had an idea that would change the lives of everyone around. No one important. But her eyes were shining. Her eyes said, "I found the perfect daughter-in-law for you, my son, and you have no idea what is coming." In the kitchen, Haley set down the tray and finally breathed. "What happened to you?" Carlos, another waiter, stared at her. "You look like you survived a war." "These shoes," Haley groaned, leaning against the counter. "These awful shoes. At least you did not fall in front of anyone important." Haley thought about the fall. About the man in the expensive suit. About the elegant older woman. "Yes," she lied. "At least that." 2 more hours. She only had to survive 2 more hours. What Haley did not know, what she could not imagine in a million years, was that on the other side of that wall, one of the most powerful women in Savannah was planning her future. Miranda Mercer had decided that that waitress would be her daughter-in-law. And when Miranda Mercer decided something, the universe had better be ready. Miranda Mercer did not chase people. People chased Miranda Mercer, to ask for favors, to beg for invitations, to try to enter her social circle. That was how it had worked in Savannah for 40 years. But there she was, hidden behind a bronze sculpture, spying on a waitress like a nosy teenager. "What am I doing?" she murmured to herself. The answer was clear. She was following the young woman who had touched her heart with 3 silent words, and she had no intention of stopping. Haley had come out of the kitchen with a new tray, this time with champagne, because apparently the universe wanted to test her with liquids that stain, and she tried to get through the last hour of the event. Her feet did not hurt anymore. That was because she could not feel them. "Excuse me, miss." Haley turned and came face to face with the elegant older woman from before, the lady with the golden card, the one who understood sign language. "Oh, are you all right? Do you need anything?" Miranda opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. She had not planned what to say. Miranda Mercer, the woman who prepared speeches for every occasion, was completely without a script. "I just wanted." Miranda looked at the tray, searching for inspiration. "Champagne." "Of course." Haley offered the tray with a smile. Miranda picked up one glass, then another, and another. Haley watched her hold 3 glasses of champagne, her expression growing more and more confused. "Are you going to drink all of that?" Miranda looked at her own hands as if she didn't know how she had ended up there. Therefore, Friends, she improvised. I have 3 friends. Very thirsty. Waiting over there in the corner. Haley looked at the corner. It was completely empty. There? They're shy. Very shy. Practically invisible. Miranda slipped away before she had to invent names for the imaginary friends. 15 minutes later, Haley was arranging napkins on a side table when a familiar voice came up beside her. Hello again. It was the older woman. Again. Without the 3 glasses, and without the supposed friends. Ma'am, did you manage to deliver the champagne to your shy friends? Miranda didn't blink. Yes. They drink very fast. Serious problem. Actually, I'm considering an intervention. Haley bit her lip to keep from laughing. And now you need napkins. Miranda took one and examined it with scientific interest. I'm checking the quality. Is it Egyptian linen? I don't know. It seems Egyptian. Miranda turned the napkin as if it were an archaeological artifact. Or Italian. This is my gallery, after all. I need to make sure everything is perfect. Haley's eyes widened. Your gallery? You're Miranda Mercer. She held out her hand. And you're the young woman who saved my card and my faith in humanity. On the other side of the room, Ethan watched the scene with growing confusion. His mother was talking to the waitress, the same waitress as before. But that wasn't the only thing that intrigued him. The young woman was using her hands, gesturing differently. Precise, fluid, intentional movements. Sign language. The waitress was talking to his mother in sign language, and Miranda, the same Miranda who pretended to the whole world that her hearing was perfectly fine, was responding. She smiled. She interacted in a way Ethan hadn't seen in months. What is going on? He murmured. Pardon? An investor beside him thought the question was for him. Nothing. Excuse me. Ethan crossed the room, unable to take his eyes off the scene. Who was that waitress? How did she know sign language? And why was his mother, who never, ever admitted needing help, so comfortable talking that way? So you study education? Miranda asked, her hands accompanying the words. Bilingual education, Haley confirmed, signing along. With a focus on inclusive education. My niece is deaf, so that's why you know sign language. I learned when she was a baby. Sienna is 6 now. Haley's face lit up as she spoke about her niece, her gestures becoming more animated. She's amazing. Too smart for her own good. She keeps me busy. Miranda felt something tighten in her chest. There was a young woman who worked as a waitress, studied education, and still cared for a deaf niece, without complaining, without asking for anything, just doing what needed to be done. When was the last time Miranda had met someone like that? She sounds wonderful, Miranda said softly, signing the words. She is. She's my whole world. And in that moment, Miranda was absolutely certain that young woman was special. Mom? Ethan's voice cut in. He had arrived with his best, I'm pretending this is normal smile, but his eyes were fixed on their hands. Ethan, dear, Miranda turned with suspicious enthusiasm, going back to speaking only with her voice. I was just getting to know? What's your name again, dear? Haley. Haley Bennett. Haley. Lovely name. Miranda grabbed her son's arm. Ethan, Haley studies education. Isn't that fascinating? Fascinating, he repeated, looking from his mother to Haley. Were you talking in sign language? Yes, Haley answered naturally. Your mother is very good, by the way. Miranda swelled with pride. Ethan was speechless. Mom, can I talk to you for a second? Not now, dear. I'm having a very interesting conversation about. Now, Ethan practically dragged Miranda to a corner, leaving Haley standing there with her tray and a look of complete confusion. Since when do you know sign language? Ethan whispered, incredulous. Since I started losing my hearing, Ethan. I hired a private teacher. 3 times a week for the last 6 months. Why did you never tell me? Because it's none of your business. Miranda adjusted her necklace. And because I didn't need another son treating me like an invalid. The blow landed. Ethan fell silent. Everyone here. Miranda looked around at the guests who pretended not to notice her difficulty. They talk to me as if I were a problem, or they ignore me, but that young woman simply saw me. She talked to me as an equal, without pity. Ethan stayed quiet. He hadn't imagined his mother felt so isolated. Mom, I don't need pity, Ethan. Miranda regained her composure. I'm just saying it's refreshing to meet someone genuine. When Ethan looked back, Haley had disappeared among the guests. You're planning something, he accused. Me? Miranda smiled. Never. Mom, I just think the Mercer Foundation could use someone with experience in inclusive communication. We have that new social program, remember? You want to hire her? Invite her to lead a few sessions. Miranda adjusted her pearls. Accessibility matters, doesn't it? Ethan knew that tone. It was the tone of someone who had already decided everything. Why do I have the feeling this is going to go very wrong? Miranda only smiled and went back to the hall. His mother was up to something. 3 days after the opening, Ethan Mercer had a brilliant idea. At least, that was what Miranda wanted him to think. It all started at breakfast. Miranda was sitting at the table, flipping through a magazine about accessibility, something Ethan had never seen her read in his life. "What's that?" he asked, pouring himself coffee. "Culture, dear?" Miranda turned the page with grace. "You should try it sometime." "Since when do you read about sign language in companies?" "Since I realized the Mercer Foundation is behind on this." She sighed dramatically. "It would be a shame if our social programs were not inclusive. What would the newspapers say?" Ethan took a sip of coffee, watching his mother with the same look he used in business meetings. "Interesting. And I suppose you already have someone in mind to solve this terrible inclusion problem?" "Me?" Miranda put a hand to her chest. "I have no idea what you're talking about. Mom, I negotiate contracts with the fiercest sharks in the market. I recognize a trap when I see one." He smiled. "The waitress from the opening, Haley." Miranda didn't even blink. "What a coincidence you mention her." "No coincidence at all. You left that magazine strategically open to the page about inclusive communication, the same topic you discussed with her for 20 minutes. 15 minutes. Are you admitting it?" "I'm correcting your accuracy. A good CEO should pay more attention to details." Ethan laughed, shaking his head. "What are you planning, Mom?" "Planning? I only want the best for the foundation." Miranda took a sip of tea. "If that includes a talented young woman who happened to make you look twice at the event, it is a mere coincidence." "I did not look twice." 3 then, I counted. Finding Haley was not hard. The events company had her record, and Miranda, purely by coincidence, had already written down the address of the cafe where she worked part-time. Ethan parked in front of the Sweet Bean Cafe at 10 in the morning. He knew he was being managed. He knew Miranda had a bigger plan. But the truth was the waitress had stirred his curiosity. Someone who treated his mother like a person, not like a check. That was rare, and Ethan Mercer recognized value when he saw it. "Let's see where this goes," he murmured, getting out of the car. Haley was behind the counter, taking a customer's order, when the door opened and the most out-of-place man in the universe walked into the cafe. $3,000 suit, Italian shoes. A watch that probably cost more than the shop's monthly revenue. He looked around, assessing the place like someone evaluating an acquisition. "Can I help you?" Haley asked, wary. "Coffee, please." "What kind?" "Strong, no fuss." "Americano, then?" "Perfect." Haley made the coffee, watching him out of the corner of her eye. He stood with a confident posture, but was clearly out of his natural habitat. "That will be $4. Ethan handed over a $100 bill. "Keep the change." "That's a $96 tip. Consider it an investment." "An investment in what exactly?" Ethan smiled. She was direct. He liked that. "I'm Ethan Mercer. We met at the opening. You spoke with my mother." Haley's face closed at once. "The lady with 3 glasses of champagne and the invisible friends." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "I'll pretend I understood that reference." "That's better. Go on." "The Mercer Foundation is developing an accessibility program. We need someone to lead sign language sessions." He looked at her directly. "You are qualified, and my mother clearly approves." "Your mother followed me around the hall pretending to check napkins." "That sounds exactly like something she would do." "Aren't you going to defend her?" "Why?" "You're right." Haley folded her arms, studying him. "Why me? There are hundreds of qualified professionals in Savannah." "Probably. But you impressed Miranda Mercer. And believe me, that does not happen often." "So I'm being hired because your mother liked me?" "You're being invited because you're competent. The fact that my mother approves is only a bonus." Ethan tilted his head. "Or a warning, depending on your point of view." Haley almost smiled. "Almost. And you? What do you get out of it?" "A functional inclusion program. And maybe my mother will stop leaving strategic magazines on the breakfast table." "She did that? Page 42. marked with a pink sticky note. This time Haley laughed. "I need to think," she said at last. "Fair. Here." Ethan handed over a card. "My direct number. No secretary, no filter." He was almost at the door when Haley spoke. "Why does your mother care so much about this?" Ethan stopped. The question deserved an honest answer. "Because she's losing her hearing. And you were the first person in months who treated her normally." He turned. "My mother built an empire. She's faced everything. But this is breaking her little by little, and she would never admit it." Haley stayed quiet. "You made her truly smile," Ethan went on. "I hadn't seen that in a long time." He left before the conversation got too heavy. That evening, Ethan was having dinner with Miranda when she casually asked, "So, did you invite the young woman?" "I did. She's going to think about it." "Great. In the meantime, practice some signs. I don't want you embarrassing yourself." "Mother, come on, repeat after me." Miranda made a sign. "This means nice to meet you," Ethan repeated, awkward. "Perfect. Now this one." She made another sign. Ethan copied it. "Wonderful, you're a natural student." What Ethan didn't know was that the first sign meant, "Your hair looks like a bird's nest." And the second, "I collect porcelain dolls." Miranda sipped her tea, hiding her smile. Some lessons her son needed to learn on his own. 2 days later, Haley called. "I accept, but I have one condition." "Say it." "My niece, Sienna, she needs a hearing evaluation I can't afford. If the foundation can help?" "Done." Silence. "Just like that? No red tape?" "I'm the CEO. Red tape is other people's problem." Monday, 9 o'clock. Haley hung up, still processing. At the Mercer mansion, Miranda watched her son down the hall, smiling at his phone like she hadn't in years. "Phase 1 complete," she murmured. Now it was time to make sure those two spent a lot of time together. And Miranda already had the perfect plan. Monday, 9 in the morning. Ethan Mercer was about to find out there were things money could not buy. Motor coordination was one of them. The Mercer Foundation's meeting room had been turned into an improvised classroom. Round table, comfortable chairs, and a whiteboard where Haley had written, "Sign Language Basics." Ethan looked at the board like someone facing a contract in Mandarin. "Relax," Haley said, arranging some materials. "It's not that hard. I speak 4 languages." "Great, this will be the 5th. Spoken, with the mouth, like a normal person." Haley raised an eyebrow. "Millions of people communicate in sign language every day. Are they all abnormal?" Ethan opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I didn't mean it that way." "I know, but your panicked face was funny." The door opened and a mini hurricane of 6 years old ran in. Sienna had curly hair, huge eyes, and the energy of about 15 squirrels in one child. She ran to Haley, hugged her legs, and then turned to Ethan with curiosity. "Who is he?" she signed quickly. "Ethan, he's going to learn with us." Sienna looked him up and down with the silent judgment only children can deliver. "He looks lost," she signed. "Sienna." "What?" "It's true." Ethan looked from one to the other, completely lost. "What did she say?" "That you look ready to learn," Haley lied. Sienna laughed silently, covering her mouth with her hands. "Let's start with the basics," Haley announced. "Good morning." She demonstrated the sign, open hand touching the chin, then moving forward. "Simple. Your turn." Ethan tried. His hand went to the wrong place, the movement came out crooked, and he looked like he was having a small spasm. Sienna tilted her head. "He said French fry," she signed to Haley. "No, he didn't." "He did. Look." Sienna repeated exactly what Ethan had done. "French fry." Haley bit her lip to keep from laughing. "Okay, almost. Let's try again." 15 minutes later, Ethan had managed to say "good morning" correctly exactly once. The other attempts included banana, Tuesday, and something Sienna refused to translate, only shaking her head in disapproval. "How is this so hard?" Ethan rubbed his forehead. "I closed a $200 million deal last week." "Congratulations, but $200 million won't help you say thank you correctly." That was cruel. That was honest. Sienna, meanwhile, was bored. She had already mastered everything Haley taught and had started making comments about Ethan's performance. "He's very slow," she signed. "He's learning." "My turtle learns faster." "You don't have a turtle." "If I had one, it would learn faster." Outside the room, Miranda Mercer was watching through the crack in the door. She had told herself she would just stop by to check if everything was going well. A convenient lie. In truth, she couldn't stay away. Through the crack, she saw Haley patiently guiding Ethan's hands. She saw Sienna laughing silently at every mistake. She saw communication happening, real, genuine, inclusive. Miranda felt her eyes sting. This was what she wanted. This was what she needed to see more of in the world. People trying to understand each other. Without pity, without embarrassment, just connection. She wiped away a tear before it escaped and kept watching in silence. "Let's try nice to meet you," Haley suggested. "My mother taught me that one." "Great, show me." Ethan made the gesture that Miranda had taught with great confidence. Haley went quiet. Sienna's eyes went wide. "What is it?" Ethan asked. "You just said her hair looks like a bird's nest." "What? And yesterday the other gesture she taught?" "I collect porcelain dolls." Ethan froze for a full 5 seconds. "My mother sabotaged me?" Apparently. Outside, Miranda covered her mouth to muffle her laugh. "Okay, let's fix that." Haley stepped closer to Ethan. "The correct sign is like this." She took his hands to position them correctly. And then something changed. The touch was gentle, professional, but when their eyes met, neither of them moved. Haley's hands were still holding his. The air grew heavier. "You need to spread your fingers more," she said, her voice a shade lower than usual. "Like this?" Almost. Neither of them let go. Sienna looked from one to the other, then made a sign to herself that meant, "Adults are strange." The moment broke when the door opened all the way. Miranda walked in as if she hadn't been spying for 20 minutes. "Hello, I just came to see how things are going." She smiled brightly. "Did I interrupt something?" Haley dropped Ethan's hands as if they were on fire. "No, nothing, just finger placement." "I see." Miranda nodded. "Placement is very important." Ethan shot his mother a look. "You taught me the wrong signs on purpose." "Me? Never." "Bird's nest, mother? My teacher must have taught me wrong. How awful. I'll sue him." "You're not suing anyone." "True. He's very nice." Miranda turned to Sienna. "And who is this princess?" Sienna studied Miranda with alert eyes. Then she signed slowly so the lady could follow. "Are you his mother?" Miranda replied in signs, a little shaky but determined. "I am." "And you are Haley's niece?" Sienna nodded, impressed. "You sign well for an old person." "Sienna?" Haley's eyes went wide. But Miranda laughed, a genuine laugh, the kind Ethan hadn't heard in months. "I like her," Miranda said. "Honesty is rare these days." The lesson went on for another hour. Ethan went from disastrous to just bad. Sienna gave scores from 0 to 10 for each attempt. He never got more than a 4. And Miranda stayed in the corner, watching everything with a smile she couldn't hide. When it ended, Haley was putting away the materials while Ethan massaged his hands. "This is more tiring than a board meeting. But more useful. Debatable. You said thank you correctly 3 times. 3 times out of 50 attempts. Progress is progress." Sienna tugged on Haley's sleeve. "I liked it here," she signed. "Can we come back? Every week, remember?" Sienna's eyes shone. Ethan watched the interaction, something warming in his chest. That little girl, there was something special about her. "Same time next week?" Haley asked. "Same time," Ethan confirmed, "but maybe with less maternal sabotage." Miranda, already at the door, pretended not to hear. Later, in the car, Sienna held Haley's hand while looking out the window. "Auntie?" "Yes?" "The man in the suit, he looks at you differently." Haley choked. "Different how?" "Like the prince looks at the princess in movies." "Sienna, that's... And you look at him like that too." Haley opened her mouth to deny it. But she couldn't. Because deep down, she knew that her 6-year-old niece had just seen something she was trying very hard to ignore. Miranda Mercer did not believe in coincidences. She believed in strategic planning, flawless execution, and quality coffee. And for the last 2 weeks, she had been using all 3 to bring her son together with a certain sign language teacher. It all started with small accidents. In the second class, Miranda showed up with coffee and cookies for everyone, but there were mysteriously only 2 cups. "Oh, how clumsy," she said without a hint of remorse. "You two will have to share." In the third class, the meeting room's air conditioner broke, forcing Ethan and Haley to use a smaller room. Much smaller, practically a closet with ambitions. In the fourth class, Miranda accidentally gave the wrong address to Haley's driver, which made Ethan need to take her home. "Your mother is very present," Haley commented during the ride. "That is a polite way to say it." What would be the not polite way? "Compulsive manipulator with Cupid tendencies?" Haley laughed. I was going to say intensely involved. You are too polite. But the masterstroke came in the 5th week. The Mercer Foundation occupied a historic building from 1842 with restored rooms that were usually closed to the public. Miranda, however, had the keys to everything. "Haley, dear," she intercepted the young woman in the hallway after class. "You need to see the historical room. It is simply magnificent. I really should get going." "Nonsense. It is 5 minutes. Ethan, go with her. You know the history better than I do." Ethan sighed. "Mother, what are you?" "Go." Miranda practically pushed them inside. "I will wait here." The historical room was, in fact, impressive. Walls with mahogany panels, old portraits, 19th century furniture. Haley turned slowly, taking in every detail. "Wow, this is amazing. It was my great-grandfather's office. He started the foundation in 1923. Your family has history. Too much, sometimes." Ethan pointed to a portrait. "That is my grandfather. People say I look like him." Haley tilted her head. "Same jaw, same I know I am right look. I do not have that look." "You are doing it now." Before Ethan could respond, they heard a click. And then, footsteps moving away. Ethan ran to the door and turned the knob. Locked. "Mother?" He knocked on the wood. "Mother?" Silence. On the other side of the hallway, Miranda walked calmly toward the elevator, whistling a cheerful tune. "Oops," she murmured, putting the key in her pocket. "What a tragedy." "She locked us in here," Ethan said, incredulous. "My own mother locked us in a room. Technically, it is your family's room. That does not help." "I know. But your face is funny." Ethan turned to face her. Haley was leaning against an old desk, biting her lip to keep from laughing. "Do you find this funny?" "A little." "We're stuck. You have a $3,000 phone in your pocket. Call someone." Ethan pulled out his cell phone. No signal. "The walls are too thick. Old construction." "Then we are officially stuck." "Apparently." Haley looked around. "Well, at least the prison is pretty." They sat on a Victorian sofa that probably cost more than Haley's apartment. The initial silence gave way to a strangely comfortable conversation. "Your mother is," Haley searched for the right word. "Insane?" "I was going to say determined. That is an understatement. She just wants you to be happy." Ethan was quiet for a moment. "I know, but she has a peculiar way of showing it. Locking you in rooms with random women? You are not random." The words came out before Ethan could stop them. The air changed. Haley looked at him. "I am not?" "No. You are." He hesitated. "Different." "Different how?" "I have not figured it out yet, but I want to find out." Their eyes met. The distance on the sofa felt smaller than before. Haley felt her heart race. This was dangerous. She was starting to get attached to a billionaire, with a mother who clearly had plans. "Ethan, yes, your mother is trying to set us up, I know. And you are letting her?" "Apparently." "Why?" He smiled, a genuine smile, without the CEO armor. "Because maybe she is not completely wrong." 40 minutes later, the door finally opened. Miranda appeared with a perfectly rehearsed look of surprise. "My goodness, you're still here? The door must have jammed. How awful." "Mother, the key is in your pocket." "How observant you are, dear. You locked us in on purpose." "What a terrible accusation." Miranda turned to Haley. "Dear, would you like some tea? You must be traumatized." "Actually, it was interesting." Miranda's eyes shone. "Was it?" "Mother," Ethan warned. "What, can I not be interested in the well-being of my guests?" Later, while Ethan took a work call, Miranda pulled Haley into a corner. "May I be honest with you?" Haley nodded, cautious. "I know I seem like a meddling old woman." "You are not." "I am, and I do not mind." Miranda sighed. "But I have my reasons." She looked at her son through the glass window. "My husband passed away 15 years ago. Since then, it's just Ethan and me. And now," she discreetly touched the hearing aid. "Now I'm losing one more thing." Haley felt her chest tighten. "Mrs. Mercer." "Miranda. Call me Miranda." The matriarch pulled herself together. "I'm afraid of growing old alone, but I'm even more afraid that Ethan will be alone. He works too much, smiles too little, doesn't let anyone in. And you think I think you make him smile for real, and that's rare." Miranda held Haley's hand. "I'm not asking you to fall in love with him. I'm just asking you to give it a chance." Haley looked at Ethan, who was gesturing animatedly on the phone, completely unaware of the conversation. What if it doesn't work? What if it does? When Haley left that night, her head was a mess. Miranda was intimidating, and sweet, and manipulative, and genuine, all at the same time. And Ethan was a problem. A problem with brown eyes, a rare smile, and hands she couldn't forget since that touch in the first class. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Sorry for the temporary arrest. Dinner tomorrow? As an apology. Just the two of us. Without my mother, I promise. Ethan." Haley stared at the screen for a long moment. A voice in her head screamed to refuse. It was too risky, worlds too different. But another voice, one that sounded suspiciously like Miranda, whispered, "What if it works?" She typed the answer before she could change her mind. "Only if you can say good morning correctly in signs." The reply came in seconds. "Challenge accepted, but if I say French fries, you still have to go." Haley laughed to herself in the car. She was in trouble. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't mind at all. Ethan was already at the restaurant when Haley arrived. Sitting at a table with a view of the Savannah River, checking his watch as if time were a late employee. "You got here early," she said. 20 minutes. Strategic preparation." That has a name. It's called anxiety. In the corporate world, we call it proactive anticipation. Did you just make that up? Totally. Haley laughed and sat down. So, she rested her chin on her hand. "Did you practice?" "All week." "Show me." Ethan took a deep breath, focused, and signed with the concentration of a surgeon in a delicate operation. Haley watched. "And?" he asked. "First try, good night. Second, I like cheese. Third, good morning, perfect. 2 mistakes in 3 tries. I'm getting better. Statistically, yes. I'll put that on my resume." Dinner flowed like a conversation between old friends. Ethan told her about the time Miranda made him wear a tuxedo at 12 to learn to carry himself like a mercer. Haley told him about Sienna convincing the whole class that she was the daughter of a European princess. "She's 6 and already convinces people better than I do," Haley said. "Bright future in politics, or in sales, or in world domination." "That's an option too." Over dessert, Ethan asked, "Is the flirting working?" Haley pretended to evaluate. 7 out of 10. "Did it go up a point since the start of the evening?" "You got the right dessert fork?" Impressive for a billionaire. "I practice." When they left the restaurant, Haley was floating. The world felt lighter, more colorful, more possible. She should have been suspicious. Good things never lasted. A week later, Ethan invited her to the launch cocktail for the Foundation's accessibility program. "You're part of the project," he said. "You should be there." "As an employee? As my guest?" "Ethan, please." Haley hesitated, but she ended up accepting. The next day, she went shopping. Alone, because taking Sienna to a dress store was a guarantee of comments that were a bit too honest. She spent 2 hours trying on options, too short, too long, too bright, too plain, too "I'm trying too hard," too "I'm not trying hard enough." Then she found the dress. Navy blue, flowing fabric, a discreet low back. Elegant without being over the top, sophisticated without looking like a costume. The kind of dress that said, "I belong here." Even if she didn't believe it, it cost half a paycheck. Haley swallowed hard, handed over the card, and prayed she wouldn't regret it. On the night of the event, she got ready with obsessive care. Hair down in soft waves, light makeup, just enough to bring out her eyes. Small silver earrings that had belonged to her mother. High heels that she already regretted before leaving the house. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Wow. Sienna stood in the bedroom doorway, eyes wide. "You look like a princess, Auntie." Haley smiled, her heart tightening. "You think so?" Like the ones in the movies." Sienna tilted her head. The guy in the suit is going to be left speechless. "Sienna?" "What? It's true." Haley laughed, adjusting her dress one last time. "Okay, I can do this." Ethan was waiting at the entrance when she arrived, and it was exactly as Sienna predicted. He was left speechless. "You look," he began. "Horrible? Over the top? Is the dress too much?" "Beautiful. I was going to say beautiful." Haley felt her cheeks burn. Oh. He smiled, offering his arm. "Ready?" "No, but let's go." The hall was full of people who looked like they were born holding champagne glasses. Jewelry sparkled. Rehearsed smiles drifted around. At first, it was even bearable. Ethan introduced her to a few people. Haley Bennett, our accessibility consultant. Polite smiles, handshakes. Nothing more. He stayed by her side, attentive, always including her in the conversations. For a few minutes, Haley almost believed she could handle it. Then a gray-haired man walked up. "Ethan, we need you." The East Coast investors want to discuss the program's expansion. Ethan looked at Haley, hesitant. Go, she said. I'll be fine. Are you sure? Ethan, it's your event. Go on. Really? He squeezed her hand. 5 minutes, I promise. 5 minutes turned into 10, then 15. Haley didn't blame Ethan. He was the host. It made sense that everyone wanted a piece of him. But alone, without him at her side, she became visible in a different way. First came the looks, women scanning her dress, whispers behind champagne glasses. A blonde woman approached, glass in hand, sharp smile. You're Ethan's date, right? The sign language teacher? That's right. How interesting. The woman looked her over. Where are you from, dear? From Savannah. And your family is? Just me and my niece. The silence said more than any words. Ah, well, enjoy the party. It must be a different experience for you. The whispers followed her like shadows. Who is she again? The sign language teacher. She was a waitress, from what I heard. A waitress? And she's here as Ethan's guest? She's pretty sure, but clearly not from our circle. In the restroom, she locked herself in a stall. Then she heard voices coming in. Did you see her dress? It probably cost a month's salary. Poor thing. She's trying so hard. Ethan's just having fun. It will pass soon. Imagine a waitress in the Mercer family? Laughter. Footsteps fading. Haley stood still, hands trembling. When she came out, Ethan was in the hallway. There you are. He stopped when he saw her face. What happened? Nothing. I'm just tired. Who said something to you? She didn't answer. Ethan took a deep breath, his jaw tight. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have left you alone. You had obligations. You're more important than any obligation. He took her hand. Let's get out of here. Ethan, Haley stopped him. I just want to go home. Let me take you. No, you need to stay. Haley, please. The request came out more broken than she intended. The car arrived in 5 minutes. Ethan walked her to the exit. Are you sure you don't want me to come with you? I'm sure. Haley forced a smile. Go on. Give your speech. He sighed, defeated. Can we talk tomorrow? Sure. It was a lie, and maybe he knew it. In the car, Haley leaned her head against the window. One tear fell, then another. She didn't wipe them away. At home, she took off her shoes and sat on the bed still wearing the dress that cost half a paycheck. The dress that wasn't enough. Her phone buzzed. Did you get home okay? Yes, thank you. Another message. Even with everything, you looked beautiful tonight. The most real person in that whole hall. Haley read it 3 times. She didn't reply. Because she already knew what she had to do. If she wanted to protect her own heart, she needed to step back. Before it was too late. Years of serving at events had taught her how to become invisible when needed. But avoiding a stubborn billionaire who had her number, her address, and a mother with private detective tendencies? That was a new challenge. Ethan's first message came the day after the reception. Good morning. How are you? Haley stared at the phone for 5 minutes. She typed 3 different replies, deleted them all. She only answered, fine. Busy here. We'll talk later. They didn't talk. On Monday, she sent a formal email to the foundation. Dear all, due to academic commitments, I will need to reschedule this week's sessions. Sincerely, Haley Bennett. Ethan called 15 minutes later. She didn't answer. He texted, academic commitments? You know you have my number, right? She replied, sorry, busy week. Sienna has the flu. A lie. Sienna was perfectly healthy and at that very moment trying to teach the neighbor's cat to do little soccer kicks. On Wednesday, Ethan tried again. Is Sienna better? Still a bit sick? I can send a private doctor. No need. Then can I bring soup? No, I mean thank you, but there's no need. She's allergic to soup. Haley stared at the message she had just sent. Allergic to soup. She had just said her niece was allergic to soup. Allergic to soup? Ethan replied. It's rare, very rare, a genetic condition. Haley put the phone down and covered her face with her hands. She was the worst liar in the world. At the Mercer mansion, Ethan stared at his phone like it was an unsolvable riddle. Allergic to soup? He murmured. Is that even a thing? He did what any confused man would do. He searched on Google. No relevant results. Then he did the second thing any confused man would do. He looked for help. Unfortunately, the help available was Gerald, the 68-year-old butler who had worked for the Mercers since before Ethan was born. Gerald, can I ask you a question? Of course, sir. When a woman says she's busy but she's clearly not busy and starts making up excuses that get more and more absurd. What does that mean? Gerald considered the question with a philosopher's seriousness. In my experience, sir, it means she wants you to go after her. Really? Or that she wants distance. One of the two. That doesn't help, Gerald. Women are complex, sir. It's part of the charm. By Friday, Ethan was desperate. He had sent 7 messages. 2 were ignored. 3 got one-word answers, 1 got a thumbs-up emoji, and the last one, a joke about French fries, was seen and not answered. Seen and not answered. It was the modern equivalent of a slap in the face. "Mother," he said at breakfast, "I need advice." Miranda looked up from the newspaper. "About what?" "Women. That's vague. One specific woman." "Haley. How do you know?" "Dear, you've had a lost puppy face for 5 days. I don't need to be a genius." Ethan sighed. "She's avoiding me, and I don't know what I did." Miranda folded the newspaper calmly. "What happened at the cocktail party?" "Nothing. I mean, she left early, said she was tired." "And you believed that?" Shouldn't I have believed it?" Miranda looked at him with a mix of tenderness and despair. "Ethan, my son, you're brilliant in business, but in relationships, you are completely blind. Thanks for the support. It's not criticism, it's a diagnosis." Miranda knew exactly what had happened. She had heard the whispers at the cocktail party, seen the looks, noticed how Haley kept getting smaller as the night went on. But she also knew she couldn't interfere. Not this time. "What do I do?" Ethan asked. "Go talk to her. She doesn't answer my messages. Then go in person. And if she doesn't want to see me, then at least you'll know." Miranda took a sip of tea. "But something tells me she does. She's just scared." "Scared of what?" "Of you. Of your world. Of not being enough." Miranda looked at him. She heard things at the cocktail party, Ethan. Things that confirmed all her fears. The penny finally dropped. The whispers. The whispers. That afternoon, Ethan showed up at the Sweet Bean Cafe. Haley was behind the counter when the doorbell rang. She looked up, saw who it was, and almost dropped the coffee pitcher. "What are you doing?" "I came to have coffee." "You don't drink coffee." "Today I do." "Ethan, an Americano, please. Simple and straightforward. It's what you recommended the first time, remember?" She remembered. She remembered every detail of that day. With slightly shaky hands, she made the coffee and set it on the counter. "That's $4. He handed her a 20. "Keep the change." "Ethan, that's a tip of $16. I know math." Silence. "Can we talk?" he asked. "I'm working." "When do you get off?" "Late." "I'll wait." "Ethan?" "Haley." He looked at her. "You've been avoiding me for a week. You made up that Sienna is allergic to soup, and you didn't answer my French fry joke, which, by the way, was very good. It was reasonable. It was excellent." Despite everything, Haley felt the corner of her mouth lift. "Please," he said, softer. "Just tell me what I did wrong." She looked around. The cafe was almost empty. "You didn't do anything wrong." "Then why are you running from me?" "I'm not allergic to soup, Haley." She closed her eyes. "Because that cocktail party reminded me of reality." "What reality?" "That I don't belong in your world. That those people look at me and see a waitress in a costume. That no matter how hard I try, I'll never be enough." Her voice shook. "And I like you, Ethan, more than I should, and that scares me. Because when you realize they're right, they're not right. You don't know that. I do." He leaned over the counter. "Because I like you too. More than I should, and I don't care what those people think. But I care." The silence between them grew heavy. "So that's it?" Ethan asked. "You're going to give up because of people who mean nothing?" "It's not just that, it's everything. We're from different worlds. Different worlds can meet, or they can collide." Ethan took a deep breath. "Okay, I understand you need time, but I want you to know one thing." He placed a hand over hers. "You're the most genuine person I've ever met, and if you decide it's worth trying, I'll be waiting." He left the coffee on the table, untouched, and walked to the door. "Ethan," he turned. "The French fry joke was a 6 at best." He smiled. "Liar." After work, Haley got home, put Sienna to bed, and sat on the couch hugging her knees. She was running away. She knew it. Running out of fear of getting hurt, out of fear of not being enough, out of fear of wanting something she might never be able to have. But Ethan's voice wouldn't leave her head. "If you decide it's worth trying, I'll be waiting." The phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Hi, dear. It's Miranda. I got your number from the receptionist. I hope you don't mind. Can we talk tomorrow? Just the two of us. I promise I won't lock you in any room." Haley stared at the screen. Miranda Mercer wanted to talk. Just the two of them. Was that good or terrible? Probably both. Miranda Mercer did nothing without a purpose. So when she showed up at Haley's apartment with a box of French pastries and a smile that said, "We need to talk," Haley knew she was in trouble. "May I come in?" Miranda asked. Haley looked at the apartment behind her. Small, modest, with Sienna's toys scattered on the floor and a pile of pedagogy books on the table. "Sorry about the mess?" "Dear, I raised a son. I know what a mess is." Miranda walked in as if she were entering a palace. "By the way, it's cozy here. It has soul. What it has is a lack of space. Space is overrated." Sienna ran in from the kitchen, stopped when she saw the guest, and signed to Haley. "It's the lady with the pearls." "Sienna, that's—" But Miranda was already signing back. "Hello, princess, do you remember me?" Sienna's eyes lit up. "You sign well for an old person." "Sienna?" Haley turned red. Miranda laughed. "She's honest. I like that." She turned to the girl. "I brought sweets, French ones. Want to try?" Sienna looked to Haley for permission. Haley nodded, defeated. "Just one." "3. Sienna negotiated. 2. "Deal." The girl grabbed her sweets and ran to the bedroom, leaving the two of them alone. Miranda sat on the couch as if it were a designer armchair. "She's delightful. She's a hurricane in human form. The best kids are." Miranda studied her. Did you raise her alone?" Haley hesitated. "Since my sister passed away, 3 years ago." The air grew heavier. "I'm sorry," Miranda said softly. "I didn't know." "Few people know. It's not something I talk about much." "What happened? If it's not intrusive to ask." Haley sat in the armchair beside her, hands clasped. "It was a serious illness, discovered late. In 6 months she was gone." Her voice faltered. "Sienna was 3. She didn't understand why Mommy wasn't coming back. I promised I'd take care of her. And here we are." Miranda was silent for a moment. "You gave up a lot. I gained much more." Haley looked toward the bedroom. "She's all I have." Miranda took a deep breath. "Can I tell you a story?" "Of course." "When I met Ethan's father, I was a secretary. He was the heir to a centuries-old fortune." Miranda smiled at the memory. "His family hated me. They thought I was a gold digger, self-interested. 'She's not our level,' they said." Haley's eyes widened. "You?" "Myself. Hard to imagine now, isn't it? The great Miranda Mercer." She laughed softly. "I spent years trying to prove I was enough. Years hearing whispers at parties. Years feeling like I didn't belong. What changed? I changed. I stopped trying to fit their mold and made my own." Miranda looked at her. "But it took time, and courage, and a man who never, not for a second, made me feel inferior." The message was clear. "Ethan isn't like that." Haley said quietly, "I know. That's why I'm here." Miranda leaned in. "My son is many things. Stubborn, a workaholic, terrible at sign language." Haley almost smiled. "But he has never looked at anyone the way he looks at you, and I've known my son for 37 years. "Mrs. Mercer." Miranda. Haley took a deep breath. "I like Ethan. A lot. But you're afraid. Very." "Of what exactly?" "Of not being enough. Of embarrassing him. Of always being the waitress in everyone's eyes." The words poured out. Of Sienna growing up seeing her aunt treated as less. Of Ethan waking up one day and realizing everyone was right. Miranda listened in silence. "Are you finished?" Haley blinked. "I think so." "Great. Now listen." Miranda held her hands. "Those people at the cocktail party, they are empty. They inherited everything, built nothing. They look down on you because you represent what they will never be, someone real. But I am not finished." Miranda squeezed her hands. "You raised a child on your own while working and studying. You learned an entire language out of love. You made my son smile in a way I had not seen in years. And you still think you are not enough?" Haley felt her eyes sting. "You do not understand." "I understand more than you think." Miranda let go of her hands and stood up. "I am not here to convince you of anything. The decision is yours. But do not make that decision based on fear. Make it based on what you want." The doorbell rang. Haley frowned. "I did not." Miranda smiled, adjusting her pearl necklace. "Oh, it must be Ethan. I told him to come pick me up." "What? Oops, I forgot to mention." Miranda walked to the door. "What a lovely coincidence." "Miranda?" But she was already opening the door. Ethan was standing in the hallway, clearly not sure what to expect. "Mother, what are you?" He saw Haley. "Hi." Awkward silence. Miranda picked up her purse. Well, I will get going. Haley, dear, the desserts are yours. Ethan, dear, behave. She turned at the door. Oh, and I am taking Sienna out for ice cream. You have 1 hour. Mother. But Miranda was already walking toward Sienna's room, leaving the two of them alone. I swear I did not know she was going to do this, Ethan said. I know, she is unpredictable. That is the understatement of the year. Another silence. May I come in? He asked. Haley hesitated. Then she stepped to the side. Ethan looked around the apartment. Small but cozy. Photos of Sienna on the walls, stacks of books. A life built with effort. It is nice here. You do not have to lie. I am not lying. He turned to her. Haley, what did my mother say? A lot. About me. About her. About how it was before she was the great Miranda Mercer. Haley crossed her arms. She was also not enough for your father's family. Ethan sighed. She never told me that. Maybe because you never needed to hear it. He stepped closer. Haley, I need you to be honest with me. Totally honest. No excuses about soup. She almost laughed. That was pathetic. It was creative, but pathetic. He held her gaze. Why are you running? The silence stretched. Then Haley decided to be honest. For the first time, because I am terrified. The words came out weaker than she wanted. Of not being enough. Of you one day realizing everyone was right. Of falling in love and then having the ground pulled out from under me. Haley, I have already lost a lot, Ethan. My sister. My stability. My sense of safety. A tear slipped out. Sienna is all I have, and I promised myself I would never again put myself in a position to lose something important. And am I important? The question hung in the air. More than I wanted you to be, she admitted. Ethan took another step. Want to know a secret? What? I am terrified too. Haley blinked. You? Of what? Of not being enough. He gave a humorless laugh. It sounds ridiculous, does it not? The billionaire afraid of not being enough. A little, but it is true. My father was brilliant. He built an empire. Everyone expects me to be the same. And sometimes, he hesitated. Sometimes I walk into meetings and I'm sure they're going to find out I am a fraud, that I inherited everything but deserve nothing. Ethan. And do you know when I do not feel that way? He looked at her. When I am with you, because you do not look at me and see the CEO or the wealth or the Mercer name, you look at me and see me. Just me. Haley felt her heart tighten. You are being unfair. How? Saying things like that, making me want to believe. Then believe. She shook her head. It is not that simple. No one said it would be simple, but it can be worth it. Ethan held her face with both hands. I do not know what the future holds. I cannot promise it will be easy, but I can promise I will be by your side. Always. And if it does not work? And if it does? Haley laughed, despite the tears. You and your mother asked the same question. Who do you think I learned from? From the hallway, voices approached. Auntie! Sienna ran in, her mouth smeared with chocolate ice cream. The lady with the pearls is really nice. She said I can visit her house and see the horses. Horses? Haley looked at Miranda, who walked in right behind her. I may have mentioned that we have stables. Miranda. What? Children like horses. She winked at Ethan. So did you two talk, Mother? I am only asking. Sienna looked from Haley to Ethan, then signed to her aunt. He still looks at you like a prince in a movie. Haley turned red. Ethan smiled. What did she say? Not true. You turned red. I didn't. Sienna confirmed in a loud voice. Traitor. Miranda watched the scene with barely hidden satisfaction. Well, we'll be going now. She touched Ethan's arm. Take all the time you need, dear. Thanks, Mom, I think. Haley, Miranda turned to her. Think about what I said, and remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of it. She left, leaving a comfortable silence behind. So, Ethan said, where were we? Haley took a deep breath. You were convincing me to try. And is it working? She looked at Sienna, who was pretending to play but was clearly listening. She looked at Ethan, who waited with endless patience. She looked inside herself, at the fear that was still there, but now sharing space with something else. Hope, maybe, she said. Ask me again tomorrow. Ethan smiled. I'll ask every day until you say yes. Is that persistence or stubbornness? In the business world, we call it strategic determination. Haley laughed. And for the first time in a long time, the laughter didn't come with fear. Ethan kept his promise. On the first day, he texted at 7 in the morning. So? It's already tomorrow. Are you going to try? Haley replied, Ask me again tomorrow. On the second day, tomorrow has arrived again. Still thinking. On the third day, technically, every day is yesterday's tomorrow. That doesn't even make sense. It does if you say yes. On the fourth day, Haley didn't answer with words. She sent a thinking face emoji. On the fifth day, Ethan showed up at the cafe with a bouquet of wildflowers, because roses were too cliché, and an invitation. Sienna's evaluation is tomorrow. Can I come along? Haley looked at the flowers. Looked at him. Looked at the flowers again. You really don't give up, do you? Strategic determination, remember? She sighed, but it was a sigh that came with a smile. All right, you can go. Is that a yes to the evaluation or a yes to us? It's a yes to the evaluation. The rest, ask me again tomorrow. Tomorrow arrived with Sienna absolutely convinced of one thing, that audiology booth was a spaceship in disguise. Auntie, look, it looks like the movies. Haley held her niece's hand as they looked at the audiology room. Strange walls, shiny equipment, a booth with thick glass. It's just a testing booth, dear. No, it isn't. Sienna squinted. It looks like a spaceship. Do you think there's an alien in there? There's no alien. Did you go check? Sienna. What if there is, Auntie? Ethan arrived 2 minutes early with 2 cups of hot chocolate and a nervous smile. I brought reinforcements, he said, handing Haley a cup. You didn't have to come. I wanted to come. Sienna tugged on Haley's sleeve and whispered very loudly, because 6-year-olds don't know how to whisper. Auntie, the handsome man brought chocolate. Haley turned red. Ethan pretended not to hear, but his smile gave him away. Do you want chocolate too, Sienna? I do, but Auntie said I can't have too much sugar. She made a strategic pause. But today is a special day, right, Auntie? Haley sighed. Half a cup. Big half or small half? Sienna? Okay. The audiologist appeared, a woman with gray hair and a warm smile named Dr. Patterson. Sienna Bennett? That's me. The girl raised her hand, bouncing in place. Ready for the test? Is it in the spaceship? Dr. Patterson looked at Haley. She thinks the booth is a spaceship, Haley explained. Ah, the doctor smiled and crouched to be at Sienna's level. You know, you're right. This booth is very special. Sienna's eyes shone. I knew it, Auntie, I told you. Inside the booth, Sienna sat in the chair and spun 3 times before Haley could stop her. When you hear a little sound, raise your hand, okay? Dr. Patterson explained through the microphone. Like a game? That's right. Yay, I'm good at games. Sienna adjusted the huge headphones on her small head. Auntie, they look like elephant ears. Outside, Haley bit her lip to keep from laughing. Is she always like this? Ethan asked. Always. The test began. Haley watched through the glass. Her fingers intertwined so tightly her knuckles were white. Every time Sienna raised her hand, her heart jumped. Every time she didn't, it sank. Ethan noticed. Hey, he put his hand over hers. It's going to be okay. You don't know that? No? But I'm choosing to believe. Is that optimism or stubbornness? A bit of both. Inside the booth, Sienna raised her hand with exaggerated enthusiasm each time she heard something. At one point, she raised both hands. You were supposed to raise just one, Dr. Patterson said through the microphone. But I heard it on both sides. The doctor laughed. She has personality, she commented to Haley. That's a kind way to put it. 20 minutes later, the test was over. Sienna ran out of the booth. Aunt, did I do well? Did I win? How many points? It's not quite like that, honey. But I raised my hand many times. Count them, Aunt. Dr. Patterson smiled. You did very well, Sienna. Now I'm going to talk with your aunt about the results, okay? Is it a secret? It's an adult thing. Sienna made a face. Adult stuff is boring. The silence that followed was the longest of Haley's life. Dr. Patterson studied the charts. Sienna got distracted, drawing on a piece of paper with a pen she had found, and Haley felt like she was going to faint. Ethan held her hand under the table. She didn't let go. The news is good, Dr. Patterson finally said. Haley forgot how to breathe. Good? Sienna is an excellent candidate for next-generation hearing aids. With the right model, she will hear much better. How much better? Normal conversations, television, music. Her quality of life will improve a lot. Haley felt the tears before she realized she was crying. Auntie? Sienna dropped the drawing, worried. Why are you crying? Did I do something wrong? No, my love. Haley pulled her into a tight hug. You did everything right, exactly right. Then why are you crying? Because I'm happy. Sienna looked confused. Do adults cry when they're happy? Sometimes. That's strange. I know. Ethan watched the scene, his chest tight in a good way. Dr. Patterson, he said, what's the best device available? Well, there are several options. The best one. Haley lifted her head. Ethan, you don't need to. It's covered by the foundation. It was part of the agreement. He looked at Sienna, who was now showing her drawing to the doctor. She deserves the best. On the way out of the clinic, Sienna walked between them, holding a hand from each. Auntie? Yes? When I get the new device, will I hear everything? Almost everything, my love. And will I hear birds singing? You will. And music. That too. Sienna smiled, satisfied. Then she looked up at Ethan. Mister? Yes? You like my aunt, right? Ethan choked. Haley turned scarlet. Why do you think that? He asked, careful. Because you look at her the way the prince looks at the princess in the movie. Sienna shrugged. It's just like that. Silence. She's sharp, Ethan murmured to Haley. I warned you. In the car on the way home, Sienna fell asleep in the back seat, entering. Haley watched her in the rearview mirror, her heart overflowing. Thank you, she said softly. You already thanked me. I know, but not just for the device, for everything. Ethan smiled. Speaking of that, it's still today. Can I ask again? Ethan, will you try? The two of us? The silence stretched. Haley looked at Sienna sleeping. She looked at Ethan waiting. She looked at herself, at the fear that still existed but now seemed smaller. Yes, she said. I'll try. Ethan didn't move. Yes? Yes? A real yes? How many times do you want me to repeat it? About 10, to be sure. Haley laughed. Yes, Ethan, the two of us, together. He held her hand over the car's console, and neither of them let go. In the back seat, Sienna opened one eye. She saw their hands together. She smiled and went back to sleep for real this time. Saying yes to Ethan was the easy part. Saying yes to Miranda Mercer and a benefit vernissage with Savannah's elite, that was another level of challenge. The invitation came 3 weeks after Sienna's evaluation, delivered in person by Miranda, who showed up at Haley's apartment with a gold envelope and that smile that didn't accept no as an answer. The Mercer Foundation's annual benefit vernissage, Miranda announced. And you, my dear, are officially invited. Haley looked at the envelope as if it were a summons. As a guest? As my son's date. Miranda, I don't know if... Wonderful. I'll pick you up Saturday so we can choose the dress. Wait, I didn't say. 10 in the morning. Be ready. And she left before Haley could protest. Does she do that all the time? Haley asked Ethan on the phone that night. Do what? Completely ignore it when someone tries to refuse something. Oh, that. Ethan laughed. Yes. It's her superpower. Ethan, I don't know if I can go to this event. Silence on the other end. Because of the reception? Haley closed her eyes. The memories still hurt. The whispers. The looks. The feeling of being an intruder in a world that wasn't hers. What if it's the same? It won't be. You can't guarantee that. No, he admitted, but this time I won't leave your side for even a second. Ethan, listen, you don't have to go if you don't want to. I understand, truly. His voice grew softer, but I would love to have you there, by my side, as my partner. Haley's heart tightened. Let me think? Of course, but tell my mother, because she's probably already reserving the whole store. Saturday, 10 in the morning. Miranda showed up right on time. Have you thought about it? She asked as soon as Haley opened the door. I'm still thinking. Great. Think while you try on dresses. Miranda, the car is waiting. The store was the kind of place Haley had never stepped into in her life. Huge mirrors, crystal chandeliers, and dresses that probably cost more than her yearly rent. This one. Miranda pointed to a bright red dress. Try it on. It's very red. Red is power. Red is everyone look at me. Exactly. Haley tried it on. She came out of the fitting room feeling like a traffic sign. Miranda tilted her head. No, it looks like you're going to direct traffic. That's what I said. The second dress was light pink. Looks like a flower girl, Miranda vetoed. The third was black with sequins. Looks like an upside-down Christmas tree. The fourth was beige. Looks like you gave up on living. Miranda. What? Honesty is a virtue. By the 15th dress, Haley was ready to give up. Maybe this is a sign, she said from the fitting room. Maybe I shouldn't go. Miranda sighed. Dear, come out of there. Haley came out, still in the green dress that looked like a hotel curtain, according to Miranda. The matriarch led her to a couch and sat beside her. Can I tell you something? Sure. At my first vernissage as a Mercer wife, I wore the wrong dress. Haley blinked. Really? Very real. It was purple, with ruffles. I looked like an eggplant at a debutante ball. Haley tried not to laugh. She failed. And you know what happened? Miranda went on. Everyone looked. Everyone whispered. A woman asked if I'd confused the event with a circus. What did you do? I cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes. Miranda smiled at the memory. Then I dried my tears, went back to the hall, and danced all night with my husband. And the whispers? They kept going, for years, until one day they stopped. She held Haley's hand. Do you know why? Why? Because I stopped caring. And when you stop giving power to other people's opinions, they lose their strength. Haley was quiet for a moment. And what if I can't stop caring? Then you fake it until you can. That's what all of us do at the beginning. Do you still fake it? Miranda laughed. Dear, after 40 years, I genuinely don't care anymore. But it took time. She squeezed Haley's hand. You don't have to get there today. You just need to take the first step. And if I stumble? Then you get up, and I'll be there to help. The saleswoman appeared with one more dress, teal blue, elegant, timeless. No excessive sparkle, but with a fit that seemed tailor-made. That one, Miranda said before Haley even tried it on. How do you know? 40 years choosing dresses, trust me. Haley went into the fitting room, put on the dress, looked in the mirror, and for the first time that day she didn't see a waitress trying to be something else. She saw a woman, beautiful, elegant, worthy. When she came out of the fitting room, Miranda smiled. Perfect. You think so? I know. Miranda stood and adjusted a strap on the dress. My son will forget how to breathe when he sees you. Haley laughed, her cheeks flushing. So, does that mean you're going? Miranda asked. The question hung in the air. Haley thought of the cocktail party, the whispers, the fear. Then she thought of Ethan, of Miranda, of Sienna, who would soon hear the world more clearly. Of everything she had gained since that day at the Mercer Gallery when she signed Merry Christmas to a stranger. I will, she said. I will. Miranda smiled, a genuine smile with no strategy behind it. I knew you'd say that. Did you know or did you plan it? Both, dear, both. Leaving the store, Haley carried a bag with the teal blue dress and a fear that still existed, but now felt smaller. The phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. Did my mother convince you? Your mother is a force of nature. Is that a yes? It's a yes. You won't regret it. Promise? I promise I'll make it worth it. Haley smiled at the screen. She was terrified, still. But she was also hopeful, and sometimes hope was enough. 3 days until the vernissage. 3 days to face the world that once made her feel invisible. But this time she wouldn't be alone. And maybe, just maybe, that would make all the difference. The 3 days passed like 3 minutes. And now Haley stood in front of the mirror, dressed in teal blue, trying to remember how to breathe. The dress was even more beautiful than she remembered. The fabric fell perfectly, hugging her curves in an elegant way without being overdone. The teal blue brought out her eyes and contrasted with her fair skin. The low back was bold enough to be sophisticated, but discreet enough that she didn't freak out. Haley adjusted her hair for the 10th time. Soft waves that had taken an hour to look natural. Light but well-done makeup. She had watched 12 tutorials on her phone to get the perfect blend. Her mother's silver earrings shone on her ears. The only thing she had inherited besides memories. You can do this, she told the reflection. You can do this. The reflection didn't look convinced. The doorbell rang. Haley's heart raced. Auntie, they're here! Sienna shouted from the living room, still in pajamas, a cookie in her hand. Haley took one last deep breath, adjusted the dress, and walked to the door. When she opened it, Miranda came in first, elegant as always in a champagne dress and her signature pearl necklace. Dear, you look, Miranda began, but stopped when she really saw Haley. A smile spread across her face. Absolutely stunning. Thank you, But Haley couldn't finish the sentence, because Ethan appeared behind Miranda. And stopped, completely stopped. In the middle of the hallway, one hand still on the doorknob, his mouth slightly open, his eyes fixed on her as if the rest of the world had ceased to exist. Silence stretched for 3 seconds. 4. 5. Miranda looked from her son to Haley and back to her son. Ethan? Dear? She snapped her fingers in front of his face. Are you still among the living? Nothing. I think we broke him, Miranda commented to Haley. Haley felt her face burn. Is it too much? Is it over the top? I can change, I still have that black dress. No. Ethan's voice finally came out, hoarse, low. Don't change anything. He took a step forward, then another. He stopped in front of her, his eyes taking in every detail, the dress, the hair, the earrings, the face. You look, he began. Horrible? Over the top? Ridiculous? Perfect. The word came out as if pulled from him. You look absolutely perfect. Haley forgot how to breathe. Really? Haley, I've seen a lot in my life. I've been to events with models, actresses, heirs to empires. He held her face with both hands, gentle, as if she were too precious. None of them come close to you right now. You're exaggerating. I'm being honest. For the first time in my life, I don't have enough words. Miranda cleared her throat. This is historically relevant. Ethan always has too many words. Neither of them heard. You look beautiful too, Haley said, finally managing to form sentences. I mean handsome. You look handsome. The tuxedo is expensive? I was going to say elegant. It's also expensive. Can't you just accept a compliment? You didn't accept mine either. Because yours was exaggerated. So was yours, Miranda sighed. Are you two going to keep arguing about who complimented whom more, or are we going to the party? Sienna appeared from the kitchen at that moment, cookie crumbs on her pajamas. Hi, handsome man. Hi, lady with the pearls. Sienna, Haley finally snapped out of the trance. What did I say about calling people like that? But he is handsome, and she wears pearls. It's the truth. Miranda laughed. She's right on both counts. Then she turned to Sienna with a mysterious smile. And speaking of truth, I have a surprise for you. Only then did Haley notice that Miranda was carrying a large white box with a pink bow. Surprise? Sienna dropped the cookie. For me? For you. Miranda held out the box. Open it. Sienna looked to Haley for permission. Haley, confused, nodded. The girl opened the box with trembling, excited hands and froze. Inside was a baby pink dress with delicate lace details, shiny ballet flats, and a small crystal tiara. Is it for me? Sienna whispered, as if speaking loudly would make the dress disappear. Of course it is. Miranda knelt beside her. You didn't think you were staying home while your aunt goes to the ball, did you? Sienna's eyes filled with tears. I am going to the party too? You're the most important guest of the night. Sienna threw herself into Miranda's arms so hard she almost knocked the matriarch over. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Miranda, caught by surprise, took a second to react. Then she hugged the girl back, her eyes suspiciously bright. You're welcome, princess. Haley watched the scene, unable to speak. Ethan came closer and whispered, Are you okay? Your mother. Haley swallowed the lump in her throat. She didn't have to do that. She wanted to. There's a difference. But it must have cost a fortune. For her, it's not about money. Ethan looked at Miranda, who was now helping Sienna lift the dress from the box carefully. It's about family. We're not her family. Ethan took Haley's hand. Yet. 15 minutes later, Sienna came out of the bedroom transformed. The pink dress fit perfectly. The shiny flats sparkled with every step. And the tiara was slightly crooked, but Sienna refused to let anyone adjust it. Auntie, I look like a princess. You are a princess, my love. A real princess? Like with a castle? Like with the most beautiful heart in the world? Sienna considered that. I think I would prefer the castle, but okay. Miranda laughed. She is impossible. I know, Haley sighed. I raised this little monster. Hey, Sienna protested. I am not a little monster. I am a princess. You just said so. And so they went to the party. The Mercer Gallery Hall was unrecognizable. Golden lights, white flowers, an orchestra playing softly. It was the same place as the cocktail party that had crushed Haley weeks before. But this time, everything felt different. Are you okay? Ethan whispered, trying not to freak out. Freaking out in a good way or a bad way, I have not decided yet. Sienna tugged on Haley's hand. Auntie, why is everyone looking? Because you look beautiful, princess. Sienna waved to a group of ladies. Hi, do you like my dress? The ladies smiled and waved back. A white-haired lady came closer. Ethan, dear, who are these charming young ladies? Mrs. Wellington, this is Haley Bennett, my girlfriend. Delighted, you are a lucky young woman. Actually, Ethan corrected, I am the lucky one. Sienna tugged on Haley's sleeve. Auntie, why do you have so many little stones on your neck? Sienna. What? There are so many. The lady laughed. They are diamonds, dear. All of them must be very afraid of thieves. Miranda pretended to cough. Half an hour later, Miranda went up on stage. Good evening, everyone. This year, our focus is the accessibility program. And I have a surprise. She looked at Sienna. Princess, can you come up here? Haley felt her heart race. Sienna went up on stage, her crooked tiara shining. This is Sienna Bennett, Miranda announced. She is 6 years old and one of the bravest people I know. An assistant brought a small box. Carefully, Miranda placed the hearing device in Sienna's ear and turned it on. Sienna's eyes widened. It is different. It is stronger. Can you hear me, Princess? I can. Sienna looked for Haley. Auntie, I can hear better. Haley could not hold back the tears. The applause was real, heartfelt. Sienna looked confused. Why are they clapping? I only put something in my ear. Laughter around the hall. Adults are strange, she concluded. After that, the night flowed like a dream. Ethan did not leave Haley's side. Every person who approached, he introduced her without hesitation, and little by little, the judging looks were replaced by genuine smiles. Sienna became the star of the party. She danced with Miranda, ate more canapés than she should, and charmed every person who crossed her path. At one point, the orchestra played a waltz. Dance with me? Ethan held out his hand. I do not know how to dance a waltz. I do not either. Let us pretend together. Haley laughed and accepted. They danced, awkward, laughing at their own mistakes, completely oblivious to the rest of the hall. Are you happy? He asked. Very. She rested her head on his shoulder. Thank you for this. For what? For making me feel like I belong here. You belong. You always have. Near midnight, Miranda came over. It is getting late, and the princess is already falling asleep. Sienna was sitting in a chair, eyes closing, the tiara finally tipping to the side. I will call a car, Haley said. Nonsense. Miranda waved. You are going to sleep at the mansion. I already prepared rooms. Miranda, you do not need to. I insist. Sienna is exhausted. You are too, and I am not letting you cross the city at this hour. Haley looked at Ethan. He smiled. There is no point arguing. When she decides something. I heard that, Miranda said. The Mercer mansion was exactly as Haley imagined, and nothing like she imagined at the same time. Huge, yes. Elegant, certainly, but also welcoming. Family photos on the walls, fresh flowers in vases. The smell of home. Sienna, half asleep in Ethan's arms, murmured, Mister, your house is very big. It is. Do you get lost? Sometimes. I knew it, she yawned. Being rich is strange. Miranda laughed. Come, the rooms are ready. The room Miranda prepared for them had a huge bed, soft sheets, and a view of the lit gardens. Haley laid Sienna on the bed, already in borrowed pajamas, and tucked her in carefully. Auntie? Yes, my love? Today was the best day of my life. Haley's eyes stung. Mine too. Can we come back here? We will see. That is an adult yes, right? Maybe. Sienna smiled and closed her eyes. In seconds, she was asleep. Haley stayed there, watching her niece. The hearing device in her ear. The pink dress hanging on the chair. The crooked tiara on the nightstand. For the first time in a long time, she felt that everything was in the right place. A soft knock on the door. Ethan, may I come in? Haley went to the door, opened it a little. She fell asleep, she whispered. And you? Are you okay? I am. She smiled. More than okay? Ethan held her hand. Tomorrow, when you wake up, I want to show you something. What? Surprise. Another one? The last one. He smiled in a way that made her heart race. I promise this one will be worth it. Haley looked at him. You're planning something. Me? Never. Ethan? Sleep well, Haley. He kissed her forehead and walked down the hallway. Haley closed the door, her heart beating way too fast. What was he planning? She didn't know. But for the first time, she wasn't afraid to find out. Haley woke up with the sun coming through the curtains and the absolute certainty that she wasn't at home. The bed was too big, the sheets were too soft, and there was a smell of fresh coffee that definitely didn't come from her small apartment kitchen. Then she remembered. The party. The mansion. Ethan's promise. Tomorrow when you wake up, I want to show you something. Sienna was still asleep beside her, sprawled across the bed like a starfish, mouth slightly open, the hearing aid shining on her ear. Haley smiled and got up slowly so she wouldn't wake her. That's when she noticed the closet door was slightly open. Curious, she opened it all the way. And stopped. The closet, which was the size of her bedroom at home, was full of clothes. Dresses, blouses, pants, shoes, all new, all in her size, and on the smaller side, children's clothes. Little dresses, little shoes, hair bows, all in Sienna's size. A note was hanging on a hanger. For my favorite girls to enjoy the day. Choose whatever you like. With love, Miranda. Haley felt her eyes sting. That woman was impossible. Auntie! Sienna's shout almost made her drop the hanger. What is all this? Sienna had woken up, seen the closet, and was now standing in the doorway as if she had found a treasure. They're clothes, sweetheart. For us, apparently. All of them? They're Sienna, no need to shout. But it was too late. Sienna had already dived into the closet like a small pink tornado, pulling out dresses and shoes with wild enthusiasm. Auntie, look at this one and this one and this one. Sienna, slow down. There are hair bows. There's a pink bow. Haley sighed. It was too early for this level of energy. Half an hour later, they went downstairs for breakfast. Haley had chosen a simple white cotton dress. Sienna wore a yellow dress with sunflowers and three bows in her hair. Don't you think that's too many bows? Haley had asked. There's no such thing as too many bows, Sienna answered with absolute conviction. The breakfast room was the size of Haley's entire apartment. A huge table, fresh fruit, bread, cheeses, juices of every kind, and in the center, Miranda drinking tea as if that were completely normal. Good morning, darlings. She stood up. Did you sleep well? Very well, Haley said. Miranda, the clothes, did they fit? I wasn't sure about the sizes. They were perfect, but you didn't have to. I wanted to. There's a difference. Sienna had already sat down and was staring at the table with huge eyes. Lady with the pearls, is all this breakfast? It is, princess. Every day? Every day. Sienna turned to Haley. Auntie, can we live here? Sienna? What? There's food. Ethan showed up 10 minutes later, still in pajamas, hair messy. It was the first time Haley had seen him like that. No suit, no gel, without the CEO armor. He looked normal, human, and incredibly handsome. Good morning, he said, his voice still rough with sleep. Good morning, Haley answered, trying not to stare too much. Mister, Sienna waved a piece of toast. Do you live here too? I do. In which room? The one at the end of the hallway. The big one? That's the one. Sienna considered the information. You live alone in a room that big? I do. That's a waste. Miranda almost spit out her tea. Ethan laughed. She has a point. After breakfast, Ethan walked up to Haley. Remember the surprise? I've been curious since yesterday. Come with me. He guided her through the mansion's hallways, past rooms Haley didn't even know existed. Where are we going? Patience. You know this is torture, right? I know. He smiled. It's part of the fun. They stopped in front of a pair of glass double doors that opened to the gardens. Haley had seen the gardens at night, lit by the Christmas lights. But by day they were even more impressive. Flower beds, fountains, stone paths winding between old trees. It's beautiful, she whispered. It gets even better at sunset. Ethan held her hand. I want to show you, tonight. More surprises? The last one. He looked at her with an intensity that made her heart race. I promise. The day went by like a dream. Lunch on the veranda, overlooking the gardens. Sienna running across the lawn, chasing butterflies. Miranda teaching Haley to identify the flowers in the garden. Ethan watching everything with a smile that seemed permanent. It was strange, not the place, not the people. What was strange was how everything felt, right, natural, as if she had always belonged there. In the late afternoon, Miranda showed up with another dress for Haley. Emerald green, long, elegant. For tonight, she said with a mysterious smile. Miranda, what are you all planning? Me? Nothing. You're lying. I never lie. Miranda winked. I only omit information strategically. At 7 in the evening, Ethan knocked on the bedroom door. Haley opened it, already dressed in emerald green, her heart racing. He was in a suit, not the work one, a different one, softer, more intimate. Ready? For what exactly? You'll see. The gardens at dusk were magical. Lanterns hung from the trees, candles floated in the fountain, rose petals were spread along the stone path. Ethan, Haley whispered. What is this? He didn't answer. He just led her to a gazebo in the center of the garden, decorated with white flowers and golden lights. I rehearsed this all week, Ethan said, his voice slightly unsteady. Rehearsed what? He took a deep breath, and then he raised his hands and began to sign. Haley recognized the gestures, some perfect, others not so much. You are the most. Ethan paused, frowned, and read the sign. The most amazing person I've ever met. She felt her eyes fill. He went on, his hands trembling slightly. You taught me to listen, to see, to feel. A tear ran down Haley's face. And I want to spend the rest of my life. Ethan stopped. He looked at his own hands. Wait, that's not right. Haley laughed through her tears. What did you say? I meant to say by your side, but I think I said with your shoe. She burst out laughing. You want to spend your life with my shoe? Technically, yes, apparently. He rubbed his forehead. I practice so much. Ethan, let me try again. Ethan, I can get this right. Ethan. He stopped. Haley held his hands. I understood. He looked at her, his eyes shining. You did? You're asking me to marry you, with or without my shoe? Ethan laughed, a nervous, relieved laugh. I am. He took a little box from his pocket. Haley Bennett, will you? Yes. The voice wasn't Haley's, it was Sienna's. They both turned. Sienna was hiding behind a bush, her big eyes shining, Miranda right behind her, trying and failing to hold her back. I heard everything, Sienna shouted, running to them. She says yes, she does. Sienna, Miranda chased her. I told you to wait, but he already asked. Haley didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She did both. Princess, Ethan said, crouching down, I need to hear it from your aunt. But she's going to say yes, I know. How do you know? Because she says your name in her sleep, and giggles. Haley turned scarlet. Sienna. What? It's true. Ethan stood up, still laughing, and turned to Haley. So, do you say yes? Haley looked at him, at Sienna, at Miranda, who was crying quietly behind the bush while pretending she wasn't there. She looked at the ring box, at the lit gardens, at the life she never imagined she could have. Yes, she said, 1,000 times yes. Ethan slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her. Yuck! Sienna covered her eyes. Grown-up kiss again. But she was jumping with joy. Miranda appeared, eyes red. Finally. You planned all of this, didn't you? Haley asked. Me? Never. Miranda sniffed. I only suggested a few things, like decorating the entire garden? Details. Sienna tugged on Ethan's sleeve. Mister? Yes? If you marry my aunt, will you be my uncle? Ethan looked at Haley. Haley nodded, tears still falling. I will, Princess. Sienna thought for a moment. Uncle Ethan. She tried the words. I like it. It sounds important. It is. More important than handsome mister? Much more. Sienna smiled, that huge smile that lit up any place, and hugged his legs with all the strength of her 6 years. Later, sitting in the gazebo, Haley rested her head on Ethan's shoulder. Sienna slept in Miranda's lap, exhausted from so much emotion. The lanterns glowed softly. The fountain sang its melody, and the ring on Haley's finger reflected the candlelight. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For everything. For not giving up. For seeing me when I felt invisible. For making me believe I deserved to be happy. Ethan kissed the top of her head. You always deserved it. You just needed someone to remind you. Miranda came closer, Sienna still asleep in her arms. Welcome to the family, she said softly. Haley smiled. Thank you for accepting me. Dear, I chose you the moment you said Merry Christmas in sign language. Miranda winked. Ethan is the one who took too long to notice. Hey, Ethan protested. I noticed fast. You mixed up good morning with French fries for 3 weeks. That's irrelevant. It's history. Haley laughed. That family was chaotic, unpredictable, and completely crazy. And now it was hers too. Sienna stirred in Miranda's arms, opening one eye. Auntie? Yes, my love. Are we going to live here now? Haley looked at Ethan. Ethan looked at Miranda. Miranda smiled. If you want to. Sienna opened both eyes. Is that a grown-up yes? That's a real yes. Sienna smiled, sleepy, happy, complete. Nice. I like it here. She yawned. There's a big breakfast, and went back to sleep. Haley took a deep breath. A year ago, she was a waitress serving champagne at events she could never attend. Today, she was engaged to a billionaire, embraced by the most welcoming family she had ever met, with a ring on her finger and a future she had never dared to dream. All because one day, she saw an elderly lady drop a card, and signed 3 words, Merry Christmas, ma'am. The end. What did you think of Savannah's most determined matchmaker mother-in-law? Would you want a Miranda in your life? Leave your opinion in the comments. On a scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell to get more moving stories like this one. See you next time.